Well, the one major issue that sparked off the development of this organization was the attempted de-indexing of the old age security by the then Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. And so there were a few organizations in Toronto that became very concerned about this. There was the Association of Jewish Seniors, the Older Adult Centers of Ontario, and the Advocacy Center for the Elderly, and some unions. I haven't got the list in front of me. At that time, the United Citizens Organization and the National Federation of Seniors. And they got 2 busloads of seniors together, and they went to Ottawa to protest against the de-indexing. And when the Prime Minister came out to talk to them, he was heckled and booed down, which would be a sight to see. It
was huge, wasn't it? It was a huge event at the time.
It was a huge event, and it was covered by the press because it was not an ordinary occasion.
And what took place? What ensued from that?
Well, what ensued from that was a national protest. The protest rolled on because of the publicity that was engendered, and so it became a national protest, and so the government eventually backed down, and the de-indexing didn't take place. Of course, they have found ways of getting around the problem since then, monkeying around with the cost of living index, but that was.
But that kind of ignited interest in a whole range of social issues concerning seniors, did it not?
Yes, and I guess, well, pensions, obviously, poverty of seniors, which was, and Social Security. Many seniors did not, if they weren't in the public service, had inadequate pensions or none. Not as many as now, mind you, but there was a problem, particularly older women who had not worked and who weren't eligible for a Canada pension. And so that was another. Housing was a problem. Question of senior housing, the question of affordable housing in general.
And all this activism really led to considerable government action, didn't it?
Well, at that time there was more action, yes, by the government, and it was considered part of government function to respond to the needs of the people. And the concept of individual rights trumping the collective rights wasn't as widespread as today, and the concept of taxation being bad wasn't as strong then either.
So take us forward 25 years to the present. What are the issues that concern seniors, and put them please in the context that you just mentioned, where the apparent political shift in this of the climate in this country?
All right. I would say there are too many for any one organization to handle, but they are there. Ageism is one thing, the concept that aging is a disease and that older people are a burden, which is completely false. It's a myth, because older people live longer now, are healthier, and the vast majority of older people are fit They may have some problems like arthritis or diabetes, but with the proper care, it is possible to live a good life and contribute to society, contribute to your family with those illnesses. And so that is one of the big problems that has to be overcome, the myth that there's going to be, as somebody said, a tsunami, which is really not. Somebody I heard this weekend said, it's a myth that the coming boomer generation is going to be tsunami. It's more like a glacier. It doesn't happen in one swell. It's coming, it's creeping slowly. And there is time to look at preparations for it.
What sort of preparations are necessary?
The preparations that senior organizations feel most necessary are those measures which will keep seniors active and healthy in their own home, which is where most seniors want to remain for as long as they possibly can. And so it's a question of getting the kind of services in the community and in the home which will help keep people active and healthy. And I'm speaking here of not medical services, but therapeutics such as physiotherapy, occupational therapy, household help. Somebody to sweep the driveways of leaves and of snow and ice. Somebody to help to clean, somebody to help, some kind of services which help you to shop and to do your own laundry and that kind of thing, which help to keep people independent.
You've mentioned homelessness and housing needs?
Yeah, and coming to that too. The other thing is affordable housing and the kind of supportive housing services which are enabling seniors to remain in their own home. So we have to fight for a housing policy which recognizes not just for seniors, but for the whole community, of course. There's the question of public pensions, the expansion of public pensions, because so relatively fewer people have work pensions anymore. Then there is a question of expansion of Medicare into necessary services like pharmacare and as I mentioned, community secure funding for community-based home care.
As you said, 25 years ago, the mood was very different. There was more of a sense of the collective, more of a sense that government should be involved in people's lives. Now everything is focused on taxpayers and individual rights. Do you feel that the seniors movement, as it's represented by federations like OCSCO, can do something about that mentality?
Well, I think we can do something about it. Yes, I think that we need to have voices which say, I don't mind paying taxes for the services that I require. And by paying taxes, the burden is equalized in the community so that people who can afford it pay a little bit more than the people who can't afford it. And this is the way a democratic society must work.
Are seniors there?
What brought it together was seniors recognizing that the federal government at that time were going to claw back pensions, and we all went actually to Ottawa. And through that experience, we came back and we decided that we needed to form an organization that could best represent the interests of seniors in Ontario.
And it kind of snowballed from that, as I understand.
Very much so. It started initially with the development of a constitution and bylaws, which I was engaged in. I was honored to be one of the 3 founding members. And what we did is we brought together a number of seniors from the community and other organizations, such as United Senior Citizens of Ontario, and we formed what we now know as OCSCO.
And what were the issues, in addition to in addition to pension indexing, what were the issues that were prominent at the time?
Certainly income maintenance and security for seniors was a big issue. There was many seniors that we saw at that time who were living in poverty. That has not unfortunately changed all that much in Canada, so we still have a lot of work to do. We are concerned about accessibility to services, housing, other health and social service issues that seniors were experiencing at the time.
And how has the seniors movement grown and changed since then, and what are the issues now?
I guess a couple of things. One is seniors are far more engaged, which is outstanding. They're self-educated about the issues, they're involved, and they're part of the change movement, which really is a significant change from 25 years ago.
And what are the issues that you're involved with now?
Well, it's an interesting question because they haven't changed all that much. If you look at the topic matters that we're dealing with, the big difference that we have now is we have a much larger and growing aging population. We have one with significant chronic illnesses in their latter years, 85 and over. So we have a lot of people now living in the community independently who need support because they don't want to be institutionalized and they don't want to be spending times in hospitals. So what they're doing is educating themselves about self-care, but we still need to have support programs and people need assistance in the community.
And as Bea was saying to me, there's been some big political changes in the last 25 years in terms of the mood of the country. There's less support for social programs, the constant clamor from some quarters for tax cuts, which result in service cuts. So how do you work against that?
Yeah, it's a big challenge because as we see the baby boomers coming forward, they're very demanding. In some cases have more disposable income than ever before. But what that does is unfortunately overshadow those people who are at the fringes of our society, who are isolated, who can't speak for themselves, and need organizations like OCSCO to advocate for their needs.
And is anyone listening in government, in the provinces, in the federal government? You've got a federal government that doesn't want to launch social programs at all. How do you handle that?
Well, I think what you do is you work with those from the inside out. So you work with those in government that do appreciate the issues. Certainly you work with the opposition parties. We continue to work with the Liberals and the NDP, and I think that's important. We continue to do that in the federal government. And in Ontario, I think we have a Liberal government that does understand a lot of the issues, but they're grappling with some significant economic challenges. So we just have to continue to work, and I think that the last 25 years of OCSCO has demonstrated that you can be a voice, you can be a voice to be reckoned with, and I think that seniors have to continue to use a common voice like OCSCO to put forward their issues and demonstrate to government that they really do need to see these things change so that we can have a